Welcome back. Kay Crystal Griffith here. We made it a whole month, all of January. Can you believe it? You have been with me for 31 digests on emotions, wisdom, and your body. Congratulations. High five. Kudos. Pat on the back. All that good stuff. Thank you so much for joining us. So glad you're back. And tonight we have a really good one that I'm sure you've never done in your entire life. It sounds like a lot of these, doesn't it? So here's your disclaimer. I am not a doctor. I do not play one on TV or any social media platform. What I am is a researcher. I have my master's in education, as well as several inner healing accreditations and trauma certifications. And I'm here to offer you some education, edification, and encouragement. And this is all about your emotions. So we're diving deeper to find out how your emotions are affecting your body, soul, and spirit. So today's word is procrastination. Have you ever put something off before? Not those gutters. Not those papers that you've needed to file. Not your taxes. Right? Yeah, we all love that. It's the end of January. It's time, isn't it? Oh, I really should have thought about that. Well, procrastination is the action of delaying or postponing something. Psychology Today wrote, procrastinators are usually chronically avoidant and they just don't want to deal with the difficult task. At least what they have in their mind is a difficult task. And they may deliberately look for distractions. That could be Netflix or Pure Flix. We like Pure Flix here. All right. And so procrastination tends to lead and reflect a person's struggles, really, with self-control. If we're not choosing the right things for the health of our being, then we might have an issue. Procrastination is a self-defeating behavior pattern, and it can be seen as serving a psychological purpose, though, especially for people with perfectionist tendencies. So if they don't think that they can do it perfectly, they just avoid doing it, which is not helpful to anybody. That's realizing that they then have to pick up the slack, right? So they're trying to protect their selves against the fear of failure is really what it comes down to. Judgment of others and really self-condemnation. They're not going to live up to some expectation that they may have in their own head. For habitual procrastinators, those actually represent about 20% of the population. Now, we're going to talk about the difference between procrastination and laziness in just a second. So just hold your horses. Procrastination also involves a degree of self-deception. Have you thought of it that way? At some level, procrastinators, they're aware of their actions and the consequences, but changing their habits requires even greater effort than completing the task in front of them. And because they're often known as perfectionists, they just don't want to complete it because they just feel like it will not live up to the expectation that they have of it. So here's an interesting thought. Did you know that men are slightly more prone to procrastination than women? I personally think that has to do with women are better multitaskers. Now, that's not to say all women, and that's not to say there's all men are not. But I do think there's something to be said that in our multitasking capabilities that we tend to get more stuff done. And we realize if we don't get it done, then there's nobody else to do it. So we'll get it done. As men, on the other hand, they might not quite see that they need to get it done as quickly because they think they have backup. And then the backup can handle it. Kind of interesting how that works. So is this positive or negative? We're definitely going to fall on the negative side for this one. So what body organs is this really affecting in procrastination? Well, there's low self-confidence to anxiety, a lack of structure, and simply an inability to motivate oneself to complete those unpleasant tasks. So I went to a conference one time with Marcus Buckingham speaking at a Women of Faith conference. And he was talking about writing down everything that you do for 4 days, just 4 days, not even a week, 4 days, right? And you write everything down, but then you have to rate it. Okay. And he wants you to rate it on a scale of energy. How much energy is this expending out of you to get this task accomplished? For example, laundry for me is going to take more energy than me having a conversation with somebody about Jesus. Just is. I don't like to do laundry. But then laundry will take less energy for me than cooking a meal. Don't like to cook, if you haven't figured that out yet. Now, where in there does vacuuming fall? Because it's got to get done. And dusting, way down the list. Like, why bother to dust? In 5 minutes, it's all back. Somebody needs to make an invention for dusting. That's all I'm going to say. It could be like your $1 million deal. Now, so as you rate each of those tasks, you will begin to see what takes up more energy out of you. He actually suggests that you hire somebody to do those tasks that take the most energy from you and get them out of the way. And then you're not just going, oh, I got to get that done. So for example, if all you're doing is going, oh, I've got those 3 loads of laundry, I got to get done. And that's just going to hold me at the house. And I just got to focus on making sure I transfer it over from the washer to the dryer. And it's just one of those life tasks that we all have to deal with, right? But the fact is, how much extra energy are you expending procrastinating on it than actually paying somebody? And just let them do it and get it done. And again, it may be house cleaning, it may be laundry, it may be even cooking, it may be chauffeuring you around because you don't want to drive. You know, it could be any number of those things. But if it takes you less energy to be more productive in that moment because you're paying somebody else to do the task that takes so much energy and time and procrastination energy from you, pay them. It'll be cheaper in the long run. And then you get to focus on what's going to bring you maybe a fruitful abundance. Food for thought. Now, procrastination can relieve pressure in the moment. Okay. But it can also be steeped in emotional, physical, and practical costs, just like we just talked about. There's cost of how much more it's going to cost you by pushing it off forever. Students who routinely procrastinate tend to get lower grades. Workers who procrastinate actually produce lower quality work. They don't like to be there. If you don't like your job, I'm the first one to tell you, you really should think about getting a new one. And that doesn't mean you quit right now because I told you to. No, that's not what I said. I said you should consider getting a new one. You should get one that actually brings you some joy. And if it's not working for the man, so to speak, in a 9-to-5 job, whatever that is, then what could you do to build a business? What's in your hand as opportunities? We should talk about that. I do that for you guys too. Now, students who are routinely procrastinating not only get lower grades, but they actually have more mental health issues. That's not a good thing, okay? Research has also shown that procrastination is closely linked to rumination, meaning you're just like mulling and ruminating all the time, or becoming fixated on a negative thought pattern. It's not good either. In another study, students who procrastinated reported higher stress and more illness later in the term. And overall, they were sicker. We don't want you sick. We want you well. We want you healthy. Good immune system. So let's just take a step back. So you're procrastinating. You don't want to do it. You're trying to avoid it. And whether that's conscious or subconscious, because it could be one of the or both, you are actually creating health issues for yourself. It's not good. Okay. Putting off things until the very last minute creates fertile soil for stress, guilt, and ineffectiveness. Guilt's from the enemy. We don't want that. We don't want the self-condemnation either. So what happens if you have too much energy, right? Or too much emotion, too much procrastination? Procrastinators are more likely to engage in self-blame and disengage from wellness advice, suggesting that they cultivate a greater self-compassion. They don't think that they need to take better care of themselves because somehow they deserve their health problems because they put stuff off. Now, let's talk about those hard things that we tend to put off, like creating wills or living advanced directives or buying life insurance or thinking about who's going to take care of your kids if something should happen to you. Those are the hard things to think about, aren't they? But the fact is, you procrastinate on those, it could not be good for your kids or your family. So I want to challenge you this week. If you don't have some of those in place, if you don't have a will, if you don't have an advance directive, if you don't have a power of attorney for someone to take care of you, should something happen to you, especially as a single parent, you need to get those in place. Those are super important. Okay. Now, the other thing that I wanted to share with you is really putting off things that are really pressing in your life like that. Guess what they also do? Not only affect your immune system, but they can cause ulcers. We don't want that either. So procrastination can jeopardize both your personal, your professional, and your physiological. All three of those areas. right? So procrastination, avoidance, and those ruminations and negative thoughts are all common symptoms of depression. People with depression may struggle to plan to get ahead, lose confidence in their ability to follow through, and adopt the what's the point? And that's despair. Remember, every second you waste, it's gone forever. You can't get it back. And keep in mind, procrastination is not laziness. Did you hear that? It's really clear to make that distinction. Procrastination is not laziness. Lazy people simply just don't want to do anything. They're just fine with not doing anything. But procrastinators, on the other hand, they have the desire to actually get that will done. They have the desire to actually get that living will done, or they have the desire to get that POA done. They even know they really need to get the laundry done, right? But they just can't force themselves to start sometimes because they either know how much energy it's going to take. They don't want to deal with that thought process of the end of life, or what if I get sick, or who's going to take care of my kids, or they don't want to think about what could be. They don't want to think about the mounds of laundry that has to then be folded and put away, right? This is why you teach your children by the time you're 13 to do your laundry, to do their laundry. Maybe they should do my laundry too. And so another aspect is relaxation is not procrastination. So oftentimes people go, oh, well, you're going on vacation and you're procrastinating. Well, actually a good R&R could actually rejuvenate your spirit. And then when you come back, you can get it done. Just a thought. The opposite of procrastination is actually getting things done and being able to relax, deal with your workload well, and be happy in the long term. So it's a little bit of both. So what are some countermeasures? How do we stop procrastinating? Don't make laundry? I don't think that's going to fly, guys. Ways to stop: adopting timelines to build in for delay. So if you know you really need that shirt for work on Wednesday, you kind of need to have the laundry done by Tuesday, just in case it tips over into Wednesday, right? So we really need to back our timelines up. Make sure that we have things done in the capacity. So if you're a student and you got a big paper due, right? I finished a dissertation and it was a big project. And so I had to kind of back that up. Like, how long is this book going to take to read? And how long is this book going to take to read? And getting an idea. So then I could take notes along the way so I could write those book reports and then the big dissertation for all the questions that I had to answer. So you have to back things up sometimes and kind of chunk them in smaller pieces. And that really helps students and anybody with ADHD. That really helps as well. Now, you also want to make it a personal challenge out of mundane tasks. Like, how quickly could you get the laundry done? How quickly could you throw things in a crock pot for dinner that night? How quickly could you prep an entire week's worth of meals? So I got industrious one time, and we were in one of those crock pot groups that you went over there and made all the crock pot meals, right? And I'm like, I bet you I could do this at home, and I could like make 4 times as many all at one time and put them all in the freezer. Needless to say, I will never do that again. I made 72 meals in a weekend. There was a lot of prep work ahead of that, and I couldn't walk the next day. It was not something I would encourage anybody to do. But we had 72 meals in the freezer. There was no way we weren't going to have a meal in the crock pot. It was awesome. They were very good too. All right. So just think about what you kind of do to your body when you make those challenges. You also want to break large jobs into those smaller chunks, like we talked about. Limit your access to online news and social media. That phone, not your friend for procrastination, folks. You will lose hours watching Yes to the Dress. Just don't do it. Okay. Developing empathy for one's future self, it would be like what you do for a good close friend. You have to offer yourself some empathy, some self-compassion, and go, okay, I really just don't want to do laundry today. Are you up for it? No. Do you have time for it tomorrow? Well, I could. Okay, what if I just start the laundry today and finish it tomorrow? Make deals with yourself and then reward yourself. So I do what's called smarter goals. I actually have a course on this called GAP, and goals and activation program. And so I would tell you, so you have SMART goals, and then I had an ER on it. And the E part is actually for being more efficient, and the R part is for reward. Because personally, I think we need to reward ourselves. Now, I am not here to tell you reward is food. I don't believe food should be a reward ever. But if you are hitting your goals for your small tasks that equate up to a bigger task, right? So you're chunking them, you're making them smaller, and then all of those combined together make this bigger task done. That's huge. And once that bigger task is done, you need to reward yourself. So I'm a firm believer in the smarter goals versus just smart. Now, as procrastination.com shares, we need to set straight our values and our personal visions and to cultivate our positive habits to keep us out of procrastination. And this is the essential thing that can help us overcome not only procrastination, but also all of those other obstacles that life seems to bring us. And it does. Let's just be real. Now, to be disciplined, to not procrastinate, right? We have to have the correct type of motivation. Back to the smarter goals and rewards, and learn to maintain and work on positive habits. So I hit my goal this month in my little walking group. But guess what? I literally had to go to the grocery store and do the outer perimeter of the grocery store 4 more times to make it happen today. Because I was literally that shy. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I'll just shop today. And so I went out and I did my outer perimeter. You know, you got to think outside the box sometimes to hit your goals. Just giving you an idea. Now, what are our wisdom verses? 1 Corinthians 14:40, but everything should be done in a fitting and orderly way. My laundry room, not so orderly, but at least I know what the piles mean. Proverbs 10:4, lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. And so when you are diligent to get your goals accomplished, it's amazing what's going to happen. Ecclesiastes 9:10, whatever your hands find to do, do it with all your might. For in the realm of the dead, where you are going, there is neither working nor planning, nor knowledge nor wisdom. You have an eternity to just relax. To enjoy the beauty. You get to see the Grand Canyon from up there. I mean, golly, that would be awesome, right? And all those places I'm not going to get to see because I'm not planning to get on a plane right now, I get to see from up there if I miss them down here. That's kind of cool. So how are you going to use this new information about procrastination and apply it to your life? Because remember, wisdom is the hearing, understanding, and application, right? So your 3 questions: how has procrastination been showing up in your life? It could even be getting that car vacuumed, maybe even getting the car washed. Yeah, we're in snow days now, so getting a car washed around here, we just wait for the next snow. How has procrastination been negative or positive in your life? Has it really propelled you to do something on a more diligent basis? And how can you transform procrastination? By that knowledge, by that wisdom, that understanding and application as you walk in it moving forward. Because the fact is, there are going to be things that you come upon that you're not going to want to necessarily do in the future. So how do you encourage yourself, motivate yourself with positive habits and those smarter rewards to get that done? So take the scripture, add your name to it, personalize it. They're all your promises. Go live and share with us. What have you procrastinated on? What is the most unexpected thing you never thought you'd procrastinate on and you did? Could be packing that baby bag to get to the hospital. That could be interesting. Baby could be naked coming home. Tomorrow's word is perfectionism. It's all about control. Also, remember, procrastinators tend to like perfectionism. So join us again tomorrow. More on emotions, wisdom, and your body. Register at kcrystalgriffith.com to receive more insights and your feeling wheel. Until then, God bless. You guys take care.